Welcome to Selective Hearing Radio episode 60. Yeah, we've hit 60. Woo! Yes, big 60. And today we're going to be talking about KCON 2024 in Los Angeles. With me is our regular friend Ellis, aka Ping. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am jet lagged, but I'm good.
All right. Yeah, topic for the next show. But yeah, thanks for having me again.
Oh yeah, no problem. So let's just get right into it because we got a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to talk about. Since KCON 2024 was a pretty busy event for you, let's just start off with the main reason that you decided to attend KCON 2024. What made you want to go?
So it's crazy because literally in June, well, first of all, KCON was rescheduled this year, right? So originally KCON would be happening maybe in 2 weeks from now. But this year they pushed it up and moved it up to the end of July. So KCON at the time of this recording just happened last week. And yeah, originally I wasn't even planning on going to KCON. It around the same time that I would have normally made the decision to go to KCON, I was already thinking I'm not going to KCON this year. I'm not going to KCON this year. But they had announced the artist lineup so late. And I had told my friends I'm not going to KCON unless Stacy goes. And I didn't really think that there was a great chance of Stacy going because it was in the middle of their comeback promotion, or I had thought that it was going to be in the middle of their comeback promotion. But when they announced the Stacy comeback to be at the beginning of July, I started thinking oh man, the chances of Stacy actually going to KCON are pretty high. And then Stacy got announced for KCON. And yeah, that made me pull the trigger for KCON this year. I was yeah, I guess I'm going to KCON. Got to start getting ready to plan this out and figure out how I'm going to get there, where I'm going to stay, who I'm going with, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I mean, Stacy is my ultimate group, as they say, the ult. And I decided to go to KCON because of Stacy.
Wow. So your dedication to Stacy made you go to KCON. That's awesome.
Yeah, I believe it was actually one of the previous podcast episodes. We had the Stacy podcast episode, and I was the one who went to all of the Stacy tour stops in the United States, and I went to Singapore too. So yeah, I love Stacy, so definitely had to go see them at their, it was their most recent US event since their tour. So and the biggest appearance, one of the biggest appearances that they've had since releasing their new album, Metamorphic. And, their whole concept change from Teen Fresh to the new, adult Stacy, I guess, the 20-year-old plus Stacy, since that has been the major theme of their comeback. So yeah, I figured that, yeah, KCON 2024, definitely got to do it. Got to get there somehow. So we made it happen.
Yes, you did. That very last minute too, I'm guessing, because
yeah, I mean, you remember me messaging you about this, hey, Greg, I need to get to KCON. Let's see if we can make this happen. It was already the first week of July or something, first or second week of July, and we were trying to figure out how to get there.
And they didn't make it easy, I'll say that, but you got there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Speaking of the lineup, we have a bunch of up-and-comers, mid-tier acts on the cusp of breaking through, and surprisingly a lot of veterans. So what did you think of the lineup outside of Stacy?
Yeah, so this year was a really interesting lineup. And this is, I believe, the second year that KCON LA has done a 3-day convention and a 3-night show. So there's the convention during the day and then the concert at night. And there's 3 different 3 full days of each. And last year, I would say that it was a little bit too much, a little bit too many artists, trying to jam pack in a lot of different artists and songs into the experience, and it was overall pretty messy. Uh, this year, I felt that it was a decent lineup, but we're kind of returning more to the norm, because in 2022 it was like the 10-year anniversary, I believe, of KCON in LA, and that lineup was absolutely insane. And we had discussed this. They had the Prestige situation, and it was just like an unbelievable experience. They had so many top tier artists and a lot of great artists. But this year, I would say the artist lineup is kind of, like, for lack of a better term, it was a little mid. Um, but there's some, definitely, they definitely had the heavy hitters, right? They definitely had like the headline quality artists there, but they also had a lot of new artists, a lot of new artists that maybe people aren't so familiar with. Maybe a few fifth gen artists, a lot of fourth gen artists. They even had a first gen artist. So overall, I would say the lineup, I hesitate to say that it is like a mid lineup, but I think this is kind of like a what would be considered a regular KCON lineup. I think that's safe to say. I think that's the right way to talk about it, because I think 2022 and 2023 may have been a little bit of an outlier. Well, 2022 for sure was an outlier as far as the artist lineup that they had. I feel like this year's lineup was more of a regular KCON lineup. And I know that there's a lot of new groups on here, maybe a lot of lesser known groups, but that's always what KCON's kind of been about. It's kind of introducing new artists, bringing in some of the heavy hitters, and then having a good range of all types of artists to for their convention and concert. And in years past, it was mainly all about the concert, but I think they've really made an effort to make both the convention and the concert, really an exciting thing to go to.
Yeah, for sure. I remember the years that I went with you, and yeah, they were definitely not similar to what was on the roster this year. Uh, but yeah, it looked like good exposure for the groups who were there. So kudos for them for making it out there and putting on some pretty good performances. I didn't get to watch all of them, but yeah, looked like a pretty good time.
Yeah, like outside of 2022, which to be frank, it's like it was a lot of people's first experience with KCON. Because it was like right after the pandemic, a lot of people had just been getting into K-pop during the pandemic. I know I made like a ton of friends who literally they just started listening to K-pop during the pandemic, and for those people, yeah, like this KCON lineup may be a bit of a downgrade compared to 2022 and even 2023. But I think this is more of like a return to the norm, because back in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, a lot of the lineups were like this level, and a lot of those KCONs had up and coming artists that became huge. They're huge now. They're huge today. But when you look back at it at the time, like artists like ATEEZ, Promise Nine, there's like they of course had the heavy hitters. They had like the Red Velvet and like the Eyes One, but then they had like the other groups too, like EXID, for example. So yeah, like they always have a big range of artists. So like maybe at the time they're rookie artists like ATEEZ and Promise, or maybe they're veterans like 17 or Red Velvet or Stray. And then like at the time, like one of the K-pop KCON artists was Stray Kids, right? They had just debuted. Like a lot of people didn't know them. And like the headliner was 17, and now you look at it. in the scope of 2023, and Stray Kids is a headliner, right? So maybe this year we're looking at the artists like To Us or who else is a relatively new artist? I mean, To Us is like one of the big hitters this year. TWS, Boy Next Door, right? You look at these artists like P1 Harmony. When P1 Harmony, like P1 Harmony, I remember P1 Harmony debuting, and P1 Harmony is like a huge artist now. So like maybe they're gonna be headlining eventually, right? So that's just the way that KCON is. They always introduce a good mix of new artists, relatively older artists, and then this year, I mean, they're bringing out the first gen artists, God. So I mean, I think honestly, like the lineup, for lack of a better term, was kind of mid. But I think this is just the normal lineup, and I think this is what we, like I I think one of the problems is that 2022 KCON was just like insanely good. That I always joke with my friends, like we always talk about KCON 2022, and we kind of like anytime we talk about KCON 2022, we have to take a shot because we just always talk about it. And honestly, like if we did take shots every time we talked about KCON 2022, we'd probably be in the hospital from alcohol poisoning because that year of KCON was just insanely good. But 2024, I mean, it's kind of the normal lineup, I would say, and it's a good lineup. They had a mix of everything.
Yeah, definitely agree. I know that I didn't go because I didn't have enough money, and I was really, really waiting for another thing that we'll talk about in another episode.
Was it just money, or was it also the lineup for you?
The lineup was actually okay. Like, I'm a girl group stan.
There's barely any girl groups.
Yeah, but the ones that they did have, I would have seen. I would have gone to see. But yeah, again, given what we're going to talk about in another episode, I was really holding up for that instead, because that's where my money definitely went to instead of KCON. But if I didn't have that happening, then yeah, my money would have probably gone to KCON, because I haven't been back since, 2022?
Yeah, 2022, the big one.
Yeah.
Honestly, you haven't missed much, honestly.
Well, I wanted to see Everglow, but I always miss Everglow whenever they come to the States for some reason.
Oh, true. But yeah, now that you mention it, like girl group stands, like we're not getting fed here. There's like a total of, I don't know, 27 artists, 26 to 28 artists. I can't remember the exact number. And then you include all the extra like people who showed up that wasn't on the original announcement, and like I believe it was like 6 boy groups to 2 girl groups for every day of the lineup. Maybe it was 5 boy groups to 2, but that's still like 2.5 to 3 to 1 ratio of boy groups to girl groups, which is a little bit disappointing. But I understand that boy groups probably sell tickets more, but yeah, it's rough out here as a girl group stan, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's rough to go to these type of festivals and see mostly sausage. So yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I get that. I enjoy listening to both, so I don't mind. But yeah, like as somebody who does prefer girl groups, like I need to have a great girl group. I need to have girl groups, like a great girl group in attendance for me to really want to join or to attend.
Yeah, hence Stacy.
Exactly. Like I've been trying to save money, so like I didn't want to go to KCON this year because of saving money, but Stacy was announced, so I had to make my way over there. I didn't have to, but I really wanted to make my way over there. And I'm happy that I did, because the lineup was a good lineup. Again, it was not as good as previous years, but it was still a good lineup.
It's exactly as KCON was built on. Just get exposure for all these groups who are coming up, and like you said, there's a few that have ended up becoming headliners on their own right. So
exactly,
get in on the ground floor while you can.
Yep.
All right, you mentioned that you really wanted to go see Stacy. What other acts were you excited about seeing? You know, like our fellow Filipinos, BINI, and that virtual personality. I can't pronounce the name right. It sounds like Apocky, but did you mark out for them when you were there?
Yeah, so I mean we can briefly look through you can quickly go through the list of artists, right? So BB, I had seen BB at Head in the Clouds, so I wasn't super like she wasn't gonna be a pull for me, but I do love BB and she was great. Boy Next Door, I'm a big Zico fan, and this is Zico's boy group. So I was pretty excited to see them as well. I believe, is the Japanese um group that came from Produce 101, the boy group. Um, I've seen them before, so I wasn't, really interested to see them. Actually, now that I think about it, I think in like 2022, one of the members of I grabbed my phone. Um, so that was kind of cool. Kepler, it was great to see Kepler again, especially after there's the whole talks of like, are they disbanding? Are they not disbanding? Now, are they continuing as seven? Are they continuing as nine? Unfortunately, there was only seven of them at KCON, which was a little bit disappointing, I'm sure, for the Mashiro and Yeso stands, who are now part of that new group or Limelight that has been changed to Maiden. I don't know. I need to double check on how to pronounce that.
I think it is made in. I think they explained that these members were made. It's something like from reality shows. I guess they're all part of survival shows, so something like that.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, yeah. So there's seven-member Kepler, but my bias is Chaehyun, and I got a lot of great interactions with Chaehyun, at the airport even, when they were coming in the day before KCON, and I've always spoken in the past about how amazing Chaehyun is at giving interactions to fans. Like I'll literally be in the back of a crowd and like making a heart at her, and then she'll see it and then complete the heart or whatever, which is like insane. It's pretty nuts. So yeah, I love Chaehyun. Got to see her again. P1 Harmony again. I had mentioned a little bit earlier. Uh, like in years past, they weren't as big, and now they're just like huge. They're massive. Like a lot of fans for P1 Harmony. Um, Taemin. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see Taemin, but I would have loved to have seen him. Alexa was there as well, and yeah, Oklahoma Queen Alexa, big fan of her. Was glad to be able to see her at KCON because I was too busy to attend her tour at the end of March and beginning of April. Oh, Joe Yudi was there. Joe Yudi was there, former Eyes One member. Joe Yudi. It was cool to see her. Her solo career has not been what I would say like a barn burner, right? It hasn't been a crazy solo career for her, but she definitely has some great songs, and it was good to see her. We'll talk more about her performance. ZB1, Zero Base One, that was kind of one of the biggest groups as well for this past weekend. They're the Boys Planet 999 group. And man, reading through this, like there was a lot of artists, right? So Drippin is the Ulim fourth gen boy group, which I do enjoy their music, but I don't really know much about their members. And so they were just like a showcase. They're one of like the new, I guess I'm doing the air quotes. They're one of the newer groups to be at KCON. Um, there's another boy group called Daimon, or Damon or something like that. I don't really know anything about them, so I'm not going to speak about them. And then that's just day one. So then day two, we had Hypen, which was like the massive group for day two, right? Hypen, Miai. Miai was the Produce 101 group in Japan. Um, so that was their survival program group. God was there. Briefly mentioned them earlier. The first gen K-pop group. They were actually one of the groups that I was excited to see because I started listening to K-pop in first gen, and God was one of the top boy groups at the time. So really glad to see them. NMIX was there. NMIX, one of the few girl groups at KCON this year. It's always great to see them because they're so talented performing live. To Us or TWS. Again, mentioned them earlier. They are the new Playlist group, I believe, which is the same company as 17. So they're like the little brothers to 17. Pretty excited to see them as well because like their music this year, they debuted earlier this year. Their music this year has been really great so far. It's probably among the top of the fifth gen boy groups, in my personal opinion, if not number one. I would have to go through the list, but I think they're like among the top fifth gen boy groups right now. Hyorin was there. Hyorin from Sistar. Um, Craxy was there. Craxy is like a kind of a Nugu girl group, 4 members now, and they were there last year, but you can definitely see there was a big improvement this year as well in their performance. Man, yeah, this lineup is crazy. So there's a few other people that I don't know, like POW or Lauren. I didn't actually even see them at the convention at all. Um, yeah, so I can't really talk about them. But Park Min Young was there. Park Min Young is the really, they call her like the rom-com queen. She's a actress. So it was really cool to see her because she's actually one of my favorite actresses. And yeah, she's really beautiful in real life. Tiger JK made an appearance as well, which was really cool. Got to see him with BB. And yeah, so day 3 we had Somi, Jun Somi, who was formerly of IOI. She's on the Black label now, and she just came back actually with that ice cream song. I think that's what it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I was watching the video before we started
Oh,
recording,
okay,
so
yeah. So she just came out with a new track, Ice Cream. The heavy hitter on Sunday was NCT 127. So that, obviously a lot of people came for that. Like anytime NCT is at crypto, the whole place is flooded in green. Stacy was like that Sunday was the main day for Stacy. That like all the Stacy activities were pretty much happening on Sunday. And Zico, I think I had mentioned Zico about his boy group, Boy Next Door, that was there. Zico himself actually was part of the KCON lineup this year, and he has been one of the artists that I had been most looking forward to seeing. He's actually my favorite male artist in he's my favorite male Korean artist, Zico. So really happy to see him. I missed him on his tour. I guess it was like 7 years ago now, 6 or 7 years ago. So happy to see him perform, especially since he's come out with like a lot of bangers since his last tour. Uh, and am I missing anybody? Ace was there. And I don't really know too much about Ace, but I know there's a lot of hardcore Ace stands. Ace has been around for a long time. So I don't really want to talk too much and misspeak about Ace, but Ace was there. They performed at the KCON stage. And lastly, there's Isaac Hong, who I don't really know much about him either, but the special host on Sunday was Kim Soo Hyun, which is like my second or third favorite actor, like overall. And he just came off of a huge K-drama hit, Queen of Tears, and like yeah, I was really looking forward to seeing him and Park Min Young. So yeah, like again, I went to KCON for Stacy, but there was a lot of artists that I was very happy to see again or see for the first time, like Jiko, Boy Next Door, Kim Soo Hyun, Park Min Young. Really happy to see them, and I'm really happy to see again like Zero Base One, Somi, Nmix, BB. So just it was a good variety of artists, honestly. Oh, yeah, and you mentioned, yeah. So BINI, BINI was one of the announced artists that attended the convention, and they even performed. They were like an opener for KCON. So I'm not a BINI fan. I do not care for BINI. I remember when BINI debuted, and all my Filipino friends were like, "Oh, check this out, check this out," and I was like, "Okay, this is not for me." But it's really cool that they were in attendance. It's a big achievement, honestly, for the Filipino entertainment industry. So I'm happy. I'm happy that the Filipino people are happy for BINI. I know like one of my friends is a Filipino guy who made one of our other friends, a Mexican guy, go to the BINI panel, and now he's a BINI fan, allegedly. So yeah, BINI, and I know they've been having a lot of controversy recently with the quality of their merchandise and their light stick and stuff like that, but regardless, they're kind of blazing the trail for P-pop, Filipino pop. And
What?
Oi, Philippines! It's always great to see, anything Philippines related in a positive way, right? Like at the time of this recording, there's the Philippine gymnast who just won 2 gold medals at the Olympics, which is insane. Like he has more gold medals like himself than the entire country of Philippines as a Filipino, which is really cool. Like I believe before this Olympics, Philippines as a country has had 1 gold medal, and him representing the Philippines this Olympics has already won 2 gold medals, which is really crazy. 2 gold medals in gymnastics. Unbelievable. So yeah, it's really great to see anything positive related to the Philippines.
I feel bad for that gold medalist now because he's gonna have a whole bunch of aunties and uncles coming after him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then you also mentioned Apoki. I think it's Apoki, or I like in the Korean pronunciation is Apoki. Um, but yeah, like I read it as Apoki, but I think it's Apoki. She's she's like a VTuber type of situation, right? She's like a virtual idol, right?
Oh, I have no clue. All I saw was this virtual cartoon character. It's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, so the cool thing about Apoki is that she was essentially like a filler. So in the convention, she would be like the opener, right? Because like a real person doesn't actually need to be there. They can just have everything queued up and ready to go. Like I'm pretty sure, it is like I believe it is like a VTuber situation, but I don't think like the person who represents, like is the voice behind her was actually there. I'm pretty sure it was pre-recorded, but I could be wrong. But yeah, like every day of KCON, Apoki was there starting off the convention.
Okay, well, I guess good for that virtual being and the person behind it.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting idea. You take the virtual, you can bring the virtual idols where you don't have to actually invest manpower into, right? So like 9 a.m. right as the convention's opening, you don't need to have somebody on stage to welcome the KCONers, right? You can just have this virtual idol welcoming them for you. It's an interesting idea.
Yep. I would have liked to see it in execution, but not really. Anyway,
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's definitely not a draw.
yeah, not main event level yet. There was one act that was conspicuously missing due to visa issues, and that was the recent winners of the Island reality show. So what was up with that?
I'm not really sure. I mean, they always say it's visa issues. Like in 2022, Everglow couldn't. I think was it 2022? But I think was that the year that Everglow couldn't come, or was that 2019? Anyway, one of the years Everglow couldn't come to visa issues. And then another year like Chungha, maybe Chungha during 2022.
I remember Chung Ha because all the people in the Fromage panel were like, Chung Ha is American. She can't come back home.
Right, like she couldn't come. Like I think it was like due to visa issues. I'm not really sure. And now looking back at it, the way the company treated her, like it definitely didn't seem like it was visa issues. So I think the go-to is just visa issues. But I think in reality for Island, it was actually visa issues because I believe that show just concluded. Like it literally just finished a few weeks ago, right? And for them to have to go through the visa process, which is actually like more stringent starting this year, it does make sense that they weren't able to get visas for all of the Island 2 members. But they did have a booth for them. I didn't watch the show, so I don't know anyone. But they did have the booth for them in the convention. It was pretty much their only presence. And I feel like the KCON was kind of scheduled in the way that they were maybe expecting that it was going to be difficult to get Island 2 into America because regardless of whether they showed up or not, like the schedule was absolutely jam-packed. So I think the Island 2 situation was more of like a luxury than like something that they had planned for and had to cancel and be like, oh shit, what are we going to do now? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. I know that. Yeah, like you said, it's the visas for entertainers now in the States are stupid expensive.
Yeah, like I believe like before this year, it only cost like 50. Okay, so you may need to fact check me. I could be incorrect, but it was something like $50 per person for an entertainer visa to process it, and now it's like I don't know, like 1,500 or maybe 500. It's just something like crazy, and then because like if you multiply that by the number of members, so Island, man, how many members does Island have? 9.
I know it's more than 4. So
Yeah. So
it's a lot.
Let me just.
I can't remember. I didn't watch the show either, so I don't know how many members they actually have.
All right, let me just check real quick.
But I remember reading that it was bumped from like a very low number per head to like almost over $1,000 per head for an entertaining visa in the States.
Yeah, so the Island 2 group is called ISNA, and I remember seeing their booth. There's 7 of them. I just looked it up. There's 7 of them, and yeah, so like let's say it was $500. You multiply that times 7. That's like $3,500 just for the members, right? So it does get pretty expensive. That's assuming it was $500. I feel like it may be even more expensive than that, but I mean, I saw their booth. The girls looked good. They kind of made it like bigger than life size, like their imagery, so it's hard to tell like what they were actually like. But yeah, I didn't actually go into the booth, so I can't really say anything about them. But yeah, again, like I said, it was one of those situations where it felt like if they were able to make it, then it's great. Since they didn't make it, it wasn't like, oh, we'll get them next year type of situation. It sounded the schedule was already jam packed. Like I can't imagine like it was like an oh shit moment for Mnet, right? I mean, it is one of their own groups, so I'm sure they'll be there at the next KCON.
Yeah, probably if they survive.
I mean, it's like Enhypen was from Island 1, so if they even have half of the success of Enhypen, they're gonna be around.
Okay, well, just that there's so many reality groups and artists now. It's their chance of survival is starting to get lower and lower and lower as each show comes in.
And not just that, but like Enhypen was like it was an Mnet program, but it was like managed by Hybe, whereas ISNA is like an Mnet program and it's managed by Wake One. So
so they're already doomed. I got it.
Yeah, possibly, potentially. We'll see. We will see.
Let's talk about how much it costs to go to KCON, because it was stupid expensive this year. So if you wanted to buy a premium ticket for all 3 days, it's like $1,024.65 US dollars.
After fees.
After fees. If you wanted to buy just a lower tier 3-day ticket, $843.28 for P1. Now, P1 actually covered, I think, like from the floor up to somewhere around the 100 levels or 200 levels, right? Something around there.
So from floor to the bowl 100 levels, lower bowl.
Okay. So you could end up with a shitty seat and still pay a P1 price, basically. That's terrible. And for P2, 542.76. So if you wanted up in the nosebleeds because you prefer to see the action from above, you're paying a lot of money. There was also 1 day packages. So for P1, 309.54 including fees, 188.06 for P2. And if you just wanted a regular 1 day ticket, $124.02 including fees. Crazy, crazy shit.
Wait, what's the regular 1 day ticket?
So the regular 1 day ticket just gets you into the grounds and gets you into whatever day of the concert you wanted to attend.
How does that differ? Oh, I see. So there's the P1 plus and P2 plus, and then the regular 1 day, which probably gives you a P2. Which probably gives you a P2 ticket for the concert. I'm guessing. Oh, limited view. Oh, so it's even worse. Okay.
Yeah, with limited view.
It's like one of those. It's one of the seats where like half of your view's covered by like a column or something, like a pillar.
Or there's like a production crane in front of you.
Right.
Like
I see. I see. Okay, that makes sense.
So all of these ticket levels, it got you into the convention or what they call the festival grounds or whatever the fuck they name it. I get confused still. The KCON stage and the meet and greet stage. But how close you ended up being in these areas for stuff is based on the tier of ticket that you paid for. So, of course, if you're premium, you get front row access to everything. And the other thing was there's a meet and greet perk only included in the premium level ticket. So if you paid the entire $1,000, you got meet and greet included in your package. But if you were a plebe who didn't pay for premium, $128.75 a shot. So that you could run past idols at a table and wave at them. So, what are your thoughts on this year's pricing? And did you end up getting a ticket at any of these levels?
Sorry, like what? I don't actually know what the difference is between. Okay, so I know that with the premium had the access to the front of the KCON stage and the meet and greet stage. Basically, like if you wanted to be as close to the stage as possible, only the premium people could get there. But I don't actually know what the plus package gives. Do you?
Plus got you nothing. Plus got you into the crowd. So there were no additional perks for Plus. Only premium had everything.
So the Plus level didn't have any perks except a seat that wasn't limited access or limited view.
That's right.
Wow. Okay. Well, knowing that, I would say, okay. Well, I mean, I thought the 3-day premium ticket was a good value. Legitimately, I do think the premium ticket is a good value. But hearing about the plus tickets, that does not sound like the greatest value. So my issue with the tickets this year is they divided the concert into only 2 different levels, P1 and P2. And you mentioned it. P1 is from the floor to like the 100 levels, and then P2 is from the 200 levels to the 300 levels. And maybe if the I don't even know if crypto has 400 levels, but if there is 400 levels at crypto.com arena, then that's also P2, right? So you could pay the same amount of money as somebody who has the front row of section 200, and you could be at the very back row of section 300, and you're paying the same amount, which to me is just like bonkers. That's insane. Like, how does somebody who has like a significantly better seat than you pay the same amount? Is it just luck? Like, I know we're kind of living in an era of like blind box and gotcha, but I mean, that's a little bit too extreme for me. Like, if it was, I do think that there should be 3 tiers: P1, P2, P3. Because I do think like all the 100 level seats are as good as a floor seat. There's a lot of benefits to having a 100 level seat over a floor seat. So I don't think that's too big of a deal. And honestly, the price for that is not too bad. If you take, what is it, 843.28, you said, for a P1 3-day plus. Like, let me just get my calculator out here. So it's basically $844, and you divide that by 3. Comes out to $281 for 3 days of concerts and conventions. I mean, legitimately, I do think that's not a bad deal. But if like 543, something like that, let's just say 544 divided by 3, $181 to have a nosebleed ticket per day. It doesn't sound good to me. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, that's what I was like thinking. It's like, all right, if I'm paying $542.76, I would at least want a lower bowl ticket, right?
Like at least a 200 seat ticket, but like the fact that you can get like the worst seat, you can have the worst seat in the building that's not limited view, like it's a full view seat, but it's like 300 or 400. I don't know what crypto.com goes up to. That's crazy for me, because in the past, KCON, the convention, or what they call the festival grounds this year, only cost like $25. So they got rid of the convention only ticket, or in this case, festival grounds ticket, and they just added it on to the full price, right? So okay, now let's say a P2 3-day package is $542.76 after fees. That comes out to about $180 a day. Even if you take out $25 from that, that's still about $155, let's say $160 for the concert. $160 for a nosebleed seat? That's just insane for me, right? I don't know. I really don't think the P1, like dividing the concert venue, the arena, into just 2 tiers makes sense for anyone except the people who are like buying the most expensive ticket.
I remember the nosebleed section where I sat a long time ago. $80 with fees. So
yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I know there's inflation, but it is prohibitively expensive. The fact that they got rid of the festival grounds or convention tickets, and that the nosebleed seats are just so expensive, like it just makes it hard for the casual fan to go to KCON, which honestly, I think that's kind of one of their intentions. I think they may have been trying to reduce attendance this year compared to previous years. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's kind of, when you come out with this type of pricing, that's what it feels like to me.
yeah, definitely. I think they're just trying to price everyone out, or just see who's crazy enough to pay those prices to see idols. I think.
I am pretty sure it didn't sell out this year, so that's one thing.
Okay, well, I guess it couldn't have been worse than last year, where everyone's stuck in a building in a hurricane. So,
wow, yeah, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, I will say, having the 3-day package was significantly, exponentially better than last year. Because last year, for anyone who doesn't know or doesn't remember, last year they made it so there was no packages, and you had to purchase each individual day separately, which made it a nightmare because Axis or AXS, they kept like blocking people because people were trying to buy like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? But you had to do it like 3 separate times. So a lot of people had multiple tabs open, but then like Axis would think that, oh, this is bot-like behavior, and then it would ban your account and you wouldn't be able to buy tickets. It was just a complete mess last year. But this year, it was a lot smoother as far as I can tell. But another distinction that I need to make is, last year they made this like pre-sale method of purchasing tickets, where if you sign up to like their YouTube channel or something like that, you buy the KCON Express or whatever it's called, you would get early access to the tickets. And last year, even people who had it, they weren't able to get the tickets that they want. And then those tickets that they did want came out for general sale anyway. But this year, they actually did it the right way, which were ended up working against me. They like people who had or who bought the subscription or whatever to be able to get the early access. They actually made all those tickets, every single ticket available for the pre-sale. So the premium actually pretty much sold out during the pre-sale. And I didn't get that early access, so I wasn't able to get the premium package this year. I actually didn't buy anything. I wasn't able to buy anything this year as far as concert tickets go. So yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, in some ways it's worse than previous years. You know, like pricing, the tiers, not having a convention or festival grounds separate option. But in some ways it's better because they did bring back the 3-day packages. They did do a proper pre-sale, you know, a legitimate proper pre-sale. So yeah, pros and cons to both. But yeah, like it just really cuts out the casual fan because who's gonna spend, was it $188? Who's gonna spend $188 for the convention, right? Like even the most expensive convention, I feel, is like maybe $120. So I don't know, for 3 days, right? I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I also noticed that you know, when I last went, they were charging for any of those meet and greet sessions. They were charging for just to stand in the audience, right? And so that's also another difference that I see with this year is that they weren't trying to nickel and dime you for every single opportunity. It's just all in one giant package that you have to pay a lot of money for.
Yeah, again, like I said, the only issue with the ticketing is the price, because everything else about the ticketing was great, right? So like, did you mention how much the meet and greet ticket cost?
Yeah, meet and greet ticket is $128.75 per session.
Okay, yeah, so that's absolutely insane, right? So meet and greet, you only get the artist, you only get the high wave interaction. It's not even a high touch, it's a high wave interaction with the one artist that you pay for. 128.75. 128.75. Okay. So you get that interaction and access to the festival grounds, right? So again, go back to, okay, let's say the festival grounds costs $25 in value, right? So you're spending at least $100 to see one artist. I remember, you know, sounding like a boomer back in my day, but like seriously, back in like 2018, 2019, like you would spend $100 or maybe $125, and you would get one high touch, 2 audience tickets, and there's like a red carpet and like some other things too. So that was like a totally different situation. You could actually do the high touch. Now it's just a wave. So really debatable on the value of the meet and greet. This is after fees, $128.75.
Yeah, so this $128.75 is included in the premium ticket, so you don't have to pay that. But for everyone else, that's an extra charge on top of their ticket already. So $128.75 and an additional charge.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll say this. Like, I did end up buying the meet and greet ticket, but it is just crazy, like what you get and how much it costs compared to previous years.
Yeah, I saw videos, and yeah, it didn't look worth the $128.75, to be honest.
Yeah. So I mean, you did get a special section at the meet and greet stage for that one artist that you buy for, but it's still behind the premium, like the 3-day premium people. So 3-day premium has their own section at the very front of the stage, barricaded. And then there's another barricade for meet and greet premium for that one artist that they have purchased for. And then everything behind them is general access. So anybody at the festival grounds could see the meet and greet stage, which was one of the big differences with KCON this year, and in my opinion, it was actually significantly better how they arranged it this year. But again, Going back real quick to the 3-day premium, or even, I guess 3-day premium. So the 3-day premium, they explained it as for you have 3 different days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you will have access to the front of the stage, the front of the meet and greet stage, and front of the KCON stage for each of those 3 days, right? And when people purchased this 3-day premium package, they received 3 different tickets, one for Friday, one for Saturday, one for Sunday, right? All right, so a lot of people, they maybe just want to go to one day of KCON, but they want to have that premium access. They want to be at the front of KCON stage. They want to be at the front of the meet and greet stage, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Like, let's say you're only there for like Boy Next Door, or I think Enhypen was too big to do the other 2 stages, so that's why. But like Boy Next Door, or in my case, Stacy, right? So you would only really care about premium access for one day. So let's say, or like ZB1. ZB1's a great example. So Zero Base 1. So a lot of the activities for ZB1 were like either on Friday or Sunday, let's say. Let's say all of the activities were on Friday. All the activities that you wanted to do for premium, that gave you access to the premium section of the stages, was only on Friday. Well, what do you want to do with a Saturday and Sunday? I mean, most people, they'd want to sell it, right? Or some people, they'd only want to buy a Sunday or a Saturday, and they'll buy it from somebody else. Well, they gave 3 separate tickets, one for each day. So, and they made it transferable, so it was, not a problem to sell it through a third party. But they only gave 1 wristband. They only gave 1 wristband on Friday for all 3 days. So no one knew this going into the convention. So there's probably hundreds, I would say, at least, if not thousands of people. Wait, no, they didn't really sell that many premium tickets. So there's definitely like, probably hundreds of people who were trying to who did purchase like a Saturday or a Sunday off of somebody through various methods, right? And they couldn't get a wristband. They couldn't get the premium wristband because they only gave it for the people who came on Friday. So imagine like I bought a premium ticket, a 3-day premium ticket, and I only cared about Sunday. And then I sold off Friday and Saturday. The person who came on Friday is going to get the wristband. And when I come back on Sunday to get my wristband, I'm not going to be able to get it because they gave out all the wristbands on Friday.
Okay, so this sounds like they didn't think this through when it comes to resale at all.
They did. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it's like, I wouldn't say the onus is on KCON to be like, oh, we need to think about resale. But like, it has to be one or the other. Like, if you sell a 3-day package, you have to say that somewhere that you're only going to get 1 wristband for that 3-day package. If you don't say that, then only send 1 ticket. Right? Like, don't make it so that it can't be broken up. And if you don't send 1 ticket, don't make the tickets transferable. But I mean, if you don't make the tickets transferable, that kind of leads into a whole bunch of other issues.
Yes, it sounds like it's just not meant to be transferable. I think that's what it.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds
so, like, in my personal opinion, as an attendee, the thing that would make the most sense is to just give premium wristbands for each day. Okay, so it's gonna cost more. You're gonna have to print more wristbands, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit of a cost. You're gonna have to have the staffing to give out the wristbands specifically for each day, but it's just gonna be the easiest, logistically speaking, way to manage it. Either that, or make it so that the premium 3-day is only 1 scannable ticket, not 3 scannable tickets. Because what they were doing on Friday was scanning every single day, 1, 2, 3, and then they would give you the wristband. They wouldn't scan just one, for example. So, and then the people who had already transferred it, they'd scan one or they'd scan two, they get the wristband. And then the person who bought the other day, or whoever came on Saturday or Sunday, they wouldn't be able to get the wristband anymore. So it's just a really, I felt bad for a bunch of my friends who had purchased just for Sunday because they wanted to see Stacy, and then they weren't able to see them up close because they wouldn't give them a wristband. So I would say that's the biggest blunder, other than the cost, the prohibitively expensive cost of entry. Having only one wristband, it is convenient for the people who are attending all 3 days to have just one wristband that they can use every single day. But logistically speaking, it's a nightmare. For people who, sell, who only want one day. I mean, again, like I said, the onus is not really on KCON to think about resellers, but it does cause a lot of problems doing it that way. And I don't think it's really a big deal to just have a different premium wristband every day. Like all the music festivals that I've been to, they have a different. Oh wait, I guess that's not necessarily true, but like a bunch of music festivals that I've been to, they have a premium ticket or a premium wristband that they give every day. And KCON in the past, literally last year, they gave wristbands every day, which was I know like last year was kind of a mess as far as ticketing and queuing goes, but I'm sure there was a way to make it happen smoothly, and hopefully KCON will learn from that next year.
Hopefully, but we'll see. We'll see. They always find a way to make ticketing as difficult as possible.
Yeah, they've changed it up every year since 2022. 2022 was completely different compared to previous years. 2023 was completely different compared to previous years. 2024 is completely different compared to previous years. Everything 2019 and previous was pretty much the same as it had been. And changing things up for the better is always a good thing, but 2023 was changing things up for the worse, and 2024 it is better. Hopefully it continues to get better.
Yep, I'm just glad they didn't nickel and dime for the audience access, because man, that was a shitty ticket to pay for. My God.
Yeah, exactly. But again, the back to the meet and greet real quick. They did make it. It is a high wave, so no high touch, which, I originally didn't buy a meet and greet ticket because I was like, what am I gonna, I don't care about the high wave. But then on the very first day, I think it was ZB1, Zero Base 1 was the very first high wave session. I was there and I watched it and I was like, oh, people are able to record this. And I was like, wait, this is actually pretty good if you are a hardcore fan of somebody. So I ended up buying immediately after watching the ZB1 high wave session, I bought the Stacy high wave session because I thought it would be a good memorable experience. It's still crazy expensive, but it is what it is. At least I was able to record it and keep it, for my memories.
Yes. So at least they didn't whack your phone down on the ground saying no photos.
And there was no plexiglass, so it wasn't the complete worst.
Oh, so it wasn't the complete Zoo Monkey. Okay, yeah. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes here, because we're going to segue to the KCON experience. You did mention some of your experiences at KCON 2024 compared to previous KCON. So what were other things that you could tell the difference in regards to being a regular visitor, because you didn't get a lot of perks because you didn't get any of those fancy tickets. So
yeah,
what was it like?
So this year I would actually say KCON is significantly better than last year. Compared to 2023 KCON, this KCON is leaps and bounds better in 2024. Aside from the ticketing, right? Because that was kind of a mess. Everything about this KCON was better, right? So the process of getting the wristbands was so super smooth. They, compared to last year's KCON where they rented the smaller part of the convention center, they actually rented out the bigger part of the convention center. And they did the Gilbert Lindsay Plaza area as well for like the outside area, which we'll talk more later. Um, but yeah, like they rented the big part of the center, so there was so much space for people to like queue, and it was just like the security was so much smoother. I mean, not having to deal with a hurricane was kind of like obviously already a big plus, but just being able to go through security, then queue up inside, get your wristband if you needed to, then queue up inside, and there was so much space. It was very smooth from what I could tell. I didn't actually queue up I didn't actually queue up with everyone else, but I went around a few times seeing how everything was working, and it looked very smooth. I could be wrong. Maybe there's going to be someone that comments like, "Oh man, I was in the queue this year. It was absolute trash." But, like people were able to get in when the convention opened, which is nice because last year, some people couldn't get into the convention until like 4 to 6 hours after the convention opened because the queue and security was just like insane. So this year was definitely a lot better about getting in. And then I had mentioned it a little bit earlier about how they did the meet and greet stage this year. So again, meet and greet stage, it's part of the convention now. So as long as you have a festival ticket, you can attend every single meet and greet stage, which is really nice. It's a very big stage, which was a great experience, compared to previous years as far as meet and greet goes, because in previous years, meet and greet was always sectioned off in its own little area, and only the people who got the ticket could go in, and the stage was small. The screens were small, and a lot of times the closest that a fan can get was still like 30 feet away from the stage. This year, the stage was massive, the screens were massive, the audio was great. The premium ticket holders was like 5 to 10, like maybe like 10 feet from the stage, so you were close to the stage. So overall, meet and greet stage was significantly better. Last year, they introduced the KCON stage, which is like a stage where artists perform. Everything about that has been upgraded this year. It's a massive part of the convention center. It is a little bit sectioned off because of the audio. So there's like a divider in between, but still like the area that they had the KCON stage. Yeah, absolutely massive. You could probably fit like, I don't know, 10,000 people, maybe 5,000. I don't know how much the convention center can hold in one space or how many attendees can be in the convention center, but it looked like you could fit like 5 to 10,000 people in that one room. And the stage itself was massive. The displays were massive. They had an island. The KCON stage had an extended stage as well. They call it like the thrust stage. So yeah, everything about the KCON stage has been upgraded this year. So, you asked me as far as the KCON experience goes, everything about the KCON experience this year, the KCON itself, as far as the festival goes, or the convention, which they now call the festival grounds, was better than previous years, outside of the outside area. But yeah, the Gilbert Lindsay Plaza area was still kind of a mess. But overall, I would say a lot better this year compared to previous years.
Cool. So no massive gang brawls and fistfights that you saw this year?
So again, my KCON experience this year was a lot limited compared to like the previous years because I wasn't able to get my own tickets for anything except the Sunday concert. And I didn't line up for anything. So I didn't see anything, and I didn't hear about anything. So, I will say that my experience is a little limited this year compared to previous years, but I didn't see anyone getting tasered this year. So that's that.
All right, a non-violent KCON. That's awesome.
Well, there's still people lining up like days before the concert for the different nights like ZB1 or Enhypen or NCT or whatever. So that was still a thing, but I didn't hear about anyone fighting or getting tased. So that's a plus.
Yeah, I don't really understand the whole camping thing. I did see video of it on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck you call it now, but like, what's the point of camping? I don't really get
In
it.
my opinion, there's only one reason to camp, and it's to be at the front of the, to be barricade, first of all, because you'll see the artists go onto the stage, go on and off the stage. That is pretty much the only reason, because if you're not barricade, you might as well be in the back, because the back is actually a better experience than the front. Or sorry, the back is actually a better experience than the middle. So in my personal opinion, um, for the concert, best obviously is barricade, but then you're kind of stuck there. The second best is the back. So honestly, in my opinion, the back outweighs being in the front, because you don't have to wait for 2, 3, 4 days, however long people are waiting to get the barricade. It's just absolutely insane to me that you would camp for days to see an artist perform 3 songs, because that's the average of how many songs somebody performs at M Countdown on the KCON at KCON. So yeah, just absolutely insane to me. So in order, front barricade, back because you can move around, and then the middle, it's just kind of the worst. Because like even if you are in the back, um, a lot of times there is space. A lot of times people will be kind and let you move up a little bit, to see the artist that you're there to see. And again, there's space to move around. You can go to from one side of the like. Uh, for those who are not familiar with KCON LA, KCON LA always has the 360-degree stage, where the artists are performing to every side of the arena, and in a lot of cases, this will cause the artist to perform on one side, and then they'll perform another song on the other side. Well, if you are at the barricade, sometimes you're stuck watching the back of an artist, and some people are fine with that. Sometimes I'm okay with it, but a lot of times I'll want to see the performance from the front. And if you are in the back of the floor, you can just move around and go to the front of the stage and see it from both sides. So yeah, that's why I order it from. In terms of like best view or best spot, I would say obviously barricade, then the back, and then the middle. But in terms of value, uh, I think the back is actually the best, because you don't have to wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many days people were camping for the M countdown.
Okay, I gotcha. And also, I'm pretty sure that you don't have to smell those people.
Yeah, you're right. Oh man, I did end up smelling some people, but the nice thing about being on the back is that you can just move. And whatever they say about, it's not the men who are smelling. I'll tell you that.
Yep. Just remember, ladies, you can get pretty damn ripe too. So, all right. So it would it would not be a podcast without mentioning that you got in with the badge. The badge being a press pass. So we just want to briefly discuss this because it was a bit different for you this year. So, what was different about the whole press experience for KCON 2024?
Yeah. So again, thanks to Selective Hearing and you, I was able to attend KCON as a press member of the press, and so in 2022, I actually had the press badge and the prestige badge, which basically got me. It was almost like an all access. Literally, I could pretty much do everything except like go to the backstage areas of the convention floor. Uh, Last year, the press badge, like the press badge itself doesn't really give you anything, but it lets you skip lines, which is nice because last year the lines were absolutely horrendous. Um, but yeah, being a credentialed KCON attendee, I was able to skip the lines. I was able to go into various parts of the convention before it even opened. Um, And I will say that this year, they actually gave press a lot more leeway to do stuff. You were able to bring a camera. You were able to take photographs. You were able to record video. They just requested that you don't utilize like more than 5 second cuts in your footage, which completely makes sense. They don't want press members like recording full KCON stage with like mirrorless and DSLR cameras, like like the high quality 4K 60 frames per second, and then uploading it on YouTube or whatever, right? Everything's very reasonable and a lot of access given to press. And again, like the way that they did the convention, where anyone could see the meet and greet stage, anyone could see the KCON stage as long as you had the ticket to get in. They also had another stage called the connecting stage, and I think they called it that because it was in the middle of the meet and greet stage and the KCON stage. So just to visualize, you go into the convention floor, all the way on the far left is the meet and greet stage, and all the way on the far right is the KCON stage, and just straight in the middle, in the center, is the connecting stage. And they had a bunch of events at the connecting stage too. So as a member of the press, it was significantly better this year as far as being able to cover and get access to all of the important parts of KCON. I will say there is a downgrade, unfortunately. So the press room, it didn't have any cookies. No cookies, no sandwiches. What's up with that?
Oh, that is no good. that is no good.
It's terrible. I remember like in the past. Okay, so I don't know. Like in the past, press didn't really get any benefits except being able to get into the convention, but we had cookies and sandwiches. Now we have access to a lot of things. We can bring our cameras, but now we don't have any cookies or sandwiches. Oh man, I don't know. What would you take?
I would definitely take the greater access over the cookies and sandwiches. Just,
I agree. I completely agree. But I think, man, so every time I went to the press room, there was a lot less people this year compared to previous years. And I wonder if it's because they had no cookies and sandwiches. But it was also really far. It was really far. It was quite a bit of a walk from the convention area or the festival grounds, because again, the KCON utilized the larger portion of the convention center, but the press room was still in the same part of the building, which was a bit of a walk. But again, like you said, take the greater coverage with the press badge over having a cookie any day of the week.
so, did you get to flash the badge and bully your way to the front?
No. They so they were relatively strict about where the press pass could get into. So like any premium section, any section that was specifically for people who paid for the 3-day premium, that was their section. But the press could get into every other section. So it was nice. It was definitely like anyone, if you had a press badge, you could get significant great views, great coverage. You want to be close, but you would be close enough to get a nice view. And obviously, again, like mentioned earlier, the displays were massive. The audio was great. So yeah, you could get great coverage with just the press badge.
So no more of the people with step ladders and sad people with holding their cameras up and hoping they could get over the heads of the crowds and stuff.
The only step ladders I saw were from photographers, like the KCON photographers, like the people actually working for KCON. I didn't see any press or attendees with step ladders this year.
Okay, yeah, because I just remember that whole ITZY situation the last time we went, and that was just
Oh yeah.
not so.
Yeah, they were a lot better this year in regards to, people bringing step ladders and and cameras. Overall, like I said, I think overall the experience for KCON this year was a lot better. They utilized the bigger part of the convention, so there's a lot of space for people to move. They made the price prohibitively expensive, so there was a lot less people, it felt like. And yeah, I mean, it was a overall easygoing experience.
Okay, that's good. So you didn't have to get on the shoulders of anyone.
No, thankfully
No.
not.
Okay. Okay. Good. That's awesome. All right. So I think you answered my next question, which was besides the regular level of access with the badge, did you have any difficulties covering what you wanted? Apparently, that's a no.
Yeah, no, I mean it was great. I was able to see everything that I wanted to see, go to anything that I wanted to go to. Um, yeah, so overall, it was like again a very positive experience for the most part.
Sweet. So let's get to the fun part of this conversation, which is all of your highlights and memorable moments on the convention floor, festival grounds. What excited you the most? What fun stuff did you do? What fun stuff did you see? Just go nuts.
Yeah, so the first thing we did was, or the first thing that I want to talk about is the KCON stage, because I would say that is like the highlight of the convention, in my personal opinion. Because last year they kind of had like they call it KCON stage as well, but now I'm gonna, for all intents and purposes, I'm gonna call it going forward as the mini KCON stage, the old school KCON stage. So if I say one of those things, that's I mean 2023 KCON stage, because that was the first year that they introduced the KCON stage, and then this year is like the big KCON stage. So when they first introduced the mini KCON stage, it was a great idea. It was part of the convention floor. It had its own little section, but there was still like booths in the area, and it was pretty limited as far as like how many people could actually watch the stage. I don't even remember if there was screens there last year, but I do know that a bunch of artists went on the KCON stage. They performed like maybe 3 tracks. Everyone had like maybe 20 minutes, and they like maybe like half an hour between sets. There'd be like maybe 3 to 5 artists a day. And yeah, it was a nice experience. They didn't really have a lot of huge names, if I remember correctly, that would go on the KCON stage, but they couldn't even support it because it was such a small area of the convention center. This year, they pumped up that KCON stage. It's like on steroids. It was like 5 times the size at least. And again, like I said, the audio was huge. The displays were huge. I loved everything about it because essentially this made the convention a second concert. So like imagine Friday convention is like a concert, then Friday night is a full concert, and then Saturday concert, Saturday night, and then Sunday morning, Sunday night. You could essentially be having 6 concerts the entire day, or I guess it's more similar to like a music festival, where a music festival would run all day, right, from afternoon to night. But yeah, the KCON stage, I think it started from like 11 p.m. and they would have artists perform full sets, like more songs than like on the actual M Countdown stage at Crypto.com Arena. Like and on M Countdown, like most artists would perform 2 to 3 songs, and then the headliner gets like 4 or 5, right? But on the KCON stage, everyone gets like 5 songs. So in a lot of ways, it's actually better to go to the KCON stage than M Countdown because the view is better, the stage is nicer, the screens are nicer, the audio is great. Like almost everything about the KCON stage was just like better than M Countdown, except for the fact that Crypto.com Arena is such a historical, it's like an arena of historical significance, right? And it's just cool. It's just cool to see artists performing on that massive stage at Crypto.com Arena. But for all intents and purposes, like for most fans, the KCON stage is like the place to be because pretty much everyone performed at the KCON stage. And the way that they made it this year was except for the headliners. I don't think the headliners performed on the KCON stage. But the way that they made it this year was that you could go to the KCON stage, you could watch all the a whole bunch of artists. They would have their own thing. Some of like a lot of them, they even went down into the crowd, like between the barricade and the stage, and they would it was like sponsored by Samsung, right? The KCON 2024, sponsored by Samsung Galaxy. And they would take the Samsung phones and they go into the crowd and record themselves with the crowd. So in the past, we would have those selfie music videos and the relay dance type of activities. And it's kind of sad to see that that doesn't exist anymore in the way that it used to be at KCON. But they still have something similar where at the KCON stage, the artists would go into the crowd and record themselves with the crowd. So one of my friends, he was there for Joe Yuri, and she took a selfie with him. When I was there at KCON stage, I was able to see God and Alexa and Stacy, of course, and they got really close. They like God. They jumped up. They got into the barricade and they were singing on the barricade. It was so much fun. KCON stage, like A plus plus, I would have to say. Like the experiences at the KCON stage were just incredible this year. Especially if you were able to get a good spot, just having the artists come up to you, like. Anytime you have the artist come up to you, it's such a fun experience, right? So that's the way it used to be with the selfie MV, and now it's pretty much at the KCON stage.
Wow, lots changed then. Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's hugely different compared to what it was, and like they made it really interesting this year, where like a majority of the artists, maybe one day, one or 2 days. Like let's say maybe there may have been some artists that did like 3 separate days doing different things, but I can't remember for sure. But like let's say an artist, like maybe they do meet and greet stage one day, then they do KCON stage another day, and then they do M Countdown another day. That actually makes it really enjoyable as a fan of that artist to be able to see them on the big stage, 3 separate days, and to have that time in between where you're not rushing to go like, oh, I need to see them at this stage and then that stage and then this stage all in the same day, kind of like what Stacy, because all of Stacy's stuff was on Sunday. But some artists, they did some stuff on one day and then some stuff on another day, which actually made it really nice as if you were a fan of those artists.
That's good.
Yeah, but I think it's great. I think that's one of the other positive changes that KCON made this year, and it also makes it so that you want to go multiple days.
So just to get back to your one thing there, just wondering, when you say like the artists were close to you, like did you have to actually like camp out to get a spot, or how did that work so that you could be close enough to the artist?
Okay, yeah. So for KCON stage, yeah, you might have to camp, but no one really camped for it, like M Countdown. I think because people didn't know about it. But looking at the map, based on the map and based on my previous experience from last year, I knew that the KCON stage was going to be a big deal, and it ended up being an even bigger deal than I expected. But again, like like I was saying, like if you are able to be there early enough, and then a lot of times the people who are at the KCON stage, they are just there for maybe one specific artist and they're just waiting for them, and maybe you're there just for another artist that they're not as interested in. A lot of people are nice and they'll let you get to the front. That's what happened with me. Like I just say like, hey, I'm a really big Stacy fan, or hey, I really love God. That's what happened for me in those 2 cases. I was like, I didn't even have to ask. They just like, oh, do you want to get to the front? And it's like, yeah, I really appreciate that. So people, compared to previous years, at least, a lot of people were really nice to me, at least. But there was also, in addition to the premium section, there was a section called the Samsung Galaxy Zone. So the premium section could access, so I had mentioned earlier that there's the main stage and then there's an extended stage, the thrust stage. So the premium section can access stage right and the extended stage. And then stage left was the closest spot was actually not premium. It was actually the Samsung Galaxy ticket. And to get the Samsung Galaxy ticket, each artist had their own ticket, and you would have to go to the Samsung booth at on the festival grounds and fill out a survey, and you'd have a chance. There was 200 tickets for each artist.
That's it?
So even if you didn't have premium, you would be able to see your favorite artist up close, because all you had to do is just go to the Samsung booth when the ticket window opened. And honestly, 200 tickets is a lot more than you might think.
And was that like widely advertised, or was that like a secret?
So if you went to the KCON stage, you would clearly see that there's a special section for the Galaxy ticket holders. And I just asked them, like, how do you get a Galaxy ticket? It's like, oh, go to KCON, go to the booth, the Samsung Galaxy booth. And then if you go to the Samsung Galaxy booth, it's clearly marked how to get it. And they even showed, like, if you come from this time to this time, you would be able to get this ticket. If you come from this time to this time, you'd be able to get that ticket. So it was very smooth. Well done.
Okay, so it wasn't like, oh, only a few people know it, and then like later on in the convention, everyone knows it.
I mean, maybe like the very first artist on the KCON stage, on Friday, which I might have been ZB1. I don't actually remember who was the first artist. Maybe it was INI or P1 Harmony. I don't actually remember who the first KCON stage artist was, but maybe the people who went there may have not known. But once like midway through day one, everyone probably knew. If they wanted to go to KCON stage and they didn't have premium, that they'd be able to get a closer spot. And it wasn't hard to get the Galaxy ticket. You just had to be one of the first 200 people at that time slot. So I don't know what the case was for like some of the larger boy groups, like ZB1, for example. Like, I don't know if there was people like lined up like from hours before, but the way that KCON is, like, I think most people would just be doing all the activities that KCON has to offer versus lining up for a ticket that you may or may not get. But again, like I said, 200 people is actually a significant number, and it was really easy to get that ticket. All you had to do was fill out a survey, and they would give you the ticket when, at the counter.
Ah, so I see. So you allow data mining of your life for front row.
I mean, the survey itself, I did get the Galaxy ticket for Stacy, because one of my friends needed it that wasn't able to get the premium badge. And yeah, it was just basically like, you didn't actually have to put in any personal information, but I think you did need to put in your email, which is that's how they get you, right, for the marketing. But it's just questions about like what you think about Samsung Galaxy.
Okay, and your response is, I like iPhones.
It was like yes or no. It was like on a scale of 1 to 5 questions.
Oh, okay, so no open entries. Okay.
No open entries. Yeah. It was very, very straightforward.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so was there anything else that you want to mention about the new and improved KCON stage? Because it sounds awesome compared to when I saw it.
Yeah. No, the KCON stage, definitely one of the highlights of this year. And again, like I said, since unfortunately they got rid of like the selfie MVs and all those really cool spots where you could get close and interact with the artists. Yeah, it was significantly improved. Actually, I guess 2022 did have a KCON stage, but it was not like, it was like none of the previous KCON stages were like the 2023 KCON stage. The 2023 KCON stage was like a concert stage, and then they really beefed it up this year.
You mean 2024 stage, right? Because 2023 was still the old stage.
No, I was saying the 2023 stage was when they made the KCON stage, the concert stage, and then 2024 is like the beefed up version. Because I think 2022 may have had a KCON stage, but they just used it as like they just did like random stuff on it. Like I think in 2022, like Stacy did like a special dance thing on there. And they record like different. I think that's where ITZY did they taught you the dance. Yeah. So I think that was the previous KCON stage, and then they changed it last year, and then now the new and improved KCON stage is like one of the coolest parts of KCON.
Okay, because as I said, I still remember the nightmare of ITZY. So
yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. You mentioned this earlier. You did purchase a ticket for Stacy to to wave at them and record them waving back at you. And how was that?
Yeah. So um yeah, so so again, I had mentioned a little bit earlier. If you go to the far right of the convention, it's the KCON stage, and if you go to the far left of the convention, it's the meet and greet stage. And these are like the end caps of the convention. These are like the two main stages. There's a KCON stage on the right, and a meet and greet stage on the left. Those are like two huge stages. So the meet and greet stage is where they actually did a bunch of things here. So they did the traditional meet and greet, the KCON meet and greet, where the artists will come up and for like 20 to 30 minutes, they'll answer questions. There'll be like an interview section where they answer questions, play games, etc. And then the latter half of the meet and greet, which is like for like 10 to 15 to 20 minutes, they have the fans go on the stage to do the high wave, or what should be the high touch. Hopefully in the future they do high touch. Progressively last year and the year before, it was a high wave with plexiglass. This year is a high wave without plexiglass, and you can record it. Maybe next year it will be a high touch with no plexiglass. Well, obviously, if it's a high touch, there would be no plexiglass. But maybe it's a high touch that you can record. Who knows? Maybe progress, right? Um, but yeah, again, the meet and greet stage significantly improved compared to previous years. You're a lot closer to the stage. The stage is a lot bigger. Anyone can see it. The screens are massive. You could record your meet and greet session. So again, like I said, I saw the ZB1. It was like the very first meet and greet of the day, I think. On Friday, I saw a ZB1. Everyone was doing the high wave and everyone was recording. I was like, oh, you can record it. And there's no plexiglass. I'm going to buy the Stacy one. So I bought the Stacy one on the spot and I experienced that on Sunday and it was great. Yeah, I mean, is $120 great? Maybe for your alt, but maybe not for anyone else. But for me, for Stacy, got to record. I did like the 0.5 on the camera. So you could see me and Stacy, and like I was walking by them, I was waving to them. It was a good time. And like hopefully in the future it's a high touch, but yeah, not only did they do the meet and greet sessions at the meet and greet stage, they also did the showcase sessions at the meet and greet stage. So this is why I had mentioned earlier, like the value. I really believe that the 3-day premium value, even at $1,000, was a really great value, because for like approximately $333 per day, you would get front access to KCON stage and the meet and greet stage. And for anybody, you could be at the front. You could be at the very front. And there was only, I would say, 200 people who had premium, approximately. And out of those 200 people, maybe only 50 to 100 people actually showed up for whoever was on the meet and greet stage at the time. So again, like I said, if you have premium, you would basically be right at the front and you could see everybody. And not only was it for a meet and greet, it was also for the special interview session with Park Min Young, the actress, Kim Soo Hyun, the actor. So that was a great experience. Like Kim Soo Hyun, like almost the entire KCON convention floor was like tuned in to watching him on the meet and greet stage. But then you also had the showcases, right? So like Craxy was the one that I saw perform on the showcase on the meet and greet stage for their showcase. Who else was there? Drippin was there. Miai was there. Yeah, so you got to see performances on the meet and greet stage as well. And they also had this segment called the Relay Dance Battle. Apparently, it's like the second iteration of the Relay Dance Battle, where dance teams from around the country, I guess they choose them before KCON starts, and then they compete on the meet and greet stage. And the actual hosts of the Relay Dance Battle 2 this year was Stacy. So it was like I got extra Stacy by watching the Relay Dance Battle, which was really cool. And the Relay Dance Battle was actually really good. These dance teams from around the country prepare a choreographed dance in the style of the M2 relay dances that the idols do for their comebacks. And It's really cool to see how everyone choreographed their version of the relay dance. So yeah, meet and greet stage. Again, just like the KCON stage, pumped up, amazing experience. Definitely like a really cool upgrade this year with the meet and greet stage.
Okay, that sounds way more improved than the stuff I saw. Okay, way more improved.
Yeah, especially after 20 like from 2022, the meet and greet stage was in a different section because the 2022 they utilized the entire convention center, and the room that they used for the meet and greet was a lot closer compared to previous years. But then in 2023, they went back to the original room where they did the meet and greet, and that's the room where it's like you're 20 feet away from the artist. Or not 20, sorry, 100. You're like 100 feet away from the artist on the meet and greet, and it's like a tiny stage. It's low on the ground, so like if you're in the back, you're not seeing anything. But this year, like the meet and greet stage is massive. It's high above the ground. There's like three huge displays, so even if you're like on the other side of the convention floor, you can still see what's going on at the meet and greet stage. Just overall, everything about it was a lot better.
So KCON has probably learned from past complaints here, is what I'm thinking.
You would hope so. You would hope
Yeah,
so.
because that sounds like what's the best way to describe it? It sounds like they're really catering to get people to congregate into certain sections, and if you don't, if you can't see anything, I mean, it's not a problem like years past where it was like if you didn't show up like 3 hours before, you were screwed.
Yeah, it's not like that at all. It's just like it's so, like again, they booked like the large part of the convention center, the south side, and there's so much room for everything. Like there was like if everyone in the convention center or every attendee who went to KCON decided they all wanted to go to KCON stage at the same time, or they all wanted to go to the meet and greet stage at the same time, it could support it, which was great. Absolutely incredible. Like the connecting stage which was I had mentioned earlier, the one between the KCON stage and the meet and greet stage. It was significantly smaller, but it still had the massive displays. It still had three massive displays. You can still see it from far away. You can still hear it from far away. Significantly less people could fit in that space, but they weren't having like huge things at that stage anyway. Not like the meet and greet stage or the KCON stage.
Gotcha. So it sounds like Samsung's sponsorship is reaping some rewards with their technology.
I guess that's what it is. But yeah, that's the KCON stage and the meet and greet stage and the connecting stage even.
Awesome. You said that KCON rented out the south side of the convention center. So normally there's a bunch of booths and stuff around all the events. So, in the past, when I've been at KCON, it's been very tight squeeze to get around all of those booths. So what was it like with all this extra space?
Yeah, so this year, I don't know if they had less sponsors or less, or they like weeded out some vendors or something like that, but there was so much space. And I really, well, so there's a lot of great booths. The Asiana was there. The University of Utah, they're always there somehow. But this year, Samsung Galaxy is always there. They had the Mnet booth, but they definitely reduced a lot of the. I felt like there was a lot less booths, and I don't think it was just because of the space, like being a significantly larger space. I think there was just overall less booths because, yeah, we had some new stuff. We had the Line Friends, which was great. I love Line Friends, and they're doing like the big thing that they had was the ZB1 merchandise and the IVE merchandise this year, which was great, because the mini IVE stuff was like so hard to find. And now it's like, that was like the first step, and you were able to access the mini IVE really, really easily. Mini IVE, just in case you don't know, is like the stuffed toy versions of the IVE members in the form of animals, right? So like Wonyoung is known as like a bunny, Eugene is known as like a puppy. So like they're characters. So people were able to easily purchase those. The Asiana booth, they're always doing the raffle with the giveaway for a flight to Korea. This year, one of the major sponsors was Shein, and they had a really cool booth where it was free. It was completely free. You could go and like create your own photo card holder, which is really nice. Shein is the clothing store, like a shopping mall, online shopping mall for clothing. And actually, the meet and greet stage. So the KCON stage was sponsored by Galaxy, Samsung Galaxy, and the meet and greet stage was sponsored by Shein. So Shein had some great presence at KCON, but they got rid of a lot of the fixtures, like the common fixtures at the KCON. So like the Dance All Day, which used to be part of the convention floor, they moved it to the Gilbert Lindsay Plaza. I think that's what it's called, which was outside. And they got rid of like the Star Wall, I think it was called, where the stars would like the idols would go there and they would sign their name on the wall. They got rid of that. Overall, like the vendors, it felt like there was less vendors. There was still a marketplace area, but I think like there was only like 8 total vendors at the marketplace area, and then they had like the K beauty section. The K beauty section felt significantly smaller. There were some other vendors that were there as well. It felt everything like it felt kind of like they wanted to see how things would go with all these changes, and then maybe they'll expand on it. But as far as booths go, everything was significantly smaller. So like basically, they huge improvements to KCON stage and the meet and greet stage, but everything else kind of like took a back seat. It was almost like they wanted to see how these huge changes would affect the congestion of the show floor, and which really reduced like the amount of stuff that like even like the McDonald's booth. Like in the past, the McDonald's, you'd always be able to get like French fries and like McFlurries and stuff like that. They got rid of that. Like the McDonald's presence at KCON this year was really small. It was just like it was like a collaboration between McDonald's and Kiss FM, iHeartRadio, and they did like some interviews in their area. Like the one I got to see was BB and Tiger JK. Stacy was there as well, which I didn't know about and I missed it, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, and like, oh, they still had like the Mnet, the CJ E&M sponsor stuff and like the Olive Young stuff, but it felt like there wasn't as much cool things to do at the booths this year compared to previous years. But honestly, like most people, I would say, are there for idols, and if it's not really idol related, it's not super interesting for a lot of people, I would say. But the Sheen make your own photo card thing, the Line Friends, where you could buy the merch that was previously like almost impossible to get. The Galaxy booth was a lot bigger. It was like if you wanted to experience the Galaxy phones. The Olive Young area was pretty cool, but I didn't actually go into the Olive Young area really though, because the line was always kind of long. But yeah, it just felt like kind of a downgrade as far as booths are concerned. And like I had mentioned earlier, they moved the Dance All Day to the outside. I think it's okay. Like they rented out the Gilbert Lindsay Plaza, which is outside of the convention center. It's like in front of the convention center, but you had to like leave the convention center and like go through a separate security to get into there, which is a little bit of a hassle. And then, they put all the food trucks there, which was cool. But there was so little shaded area. Like if I was to recommend something to KCON to improve on, is I feel like they could really utilize the Gilbert Lindsay Plaza area better by setting up more shaded infrastructure and like fans and stuff like that. Because outside of the place where you could eat, there's like shade like canopies, like those big pop-up tent things where you could like sit down and they had fans there where you could eat. The Dance All Day area was like completely unshaded, so like people who were like out there dancing, like they were dancing under the intense sun in the middle of July in Los Angeles, which is crazy to me, absolutely crazy to me. And like there's people that are working out there, there's like people like standing out essentially in the sun, which I think is like almost inhumane. Honestly, like it wasn't even that hot this year compared to previous like July's in LA. It was like I would say high 80s, but still like like normally I would say in July is like 90s in 90s to 100 in LA. But this year is, in my opinion, I felt like relatively cooler. But still, it was like really hot when you're under the sun. And I feel like if there was something that KCON could improve on as far as the festival grounds goes, it would be to prepare more shaded infrastructure in the Gilbert Lindsay Plaza, because I think it is a cool area to do stuff in. But they definitely need more shaded area, more fans, and improve. I feel like there could be some improvement on the in the booths. Um, like I feel like the marketplace area is fine, but I bring back the K beauty section. I feel like the K beauty section is important. Um, and maybe have a, I don't know, maybe bring the McDonald's back. I kind of miss the McDonald's. But I guess it's really up to McDonald's if they want to come back or not, right? Because there's a sponsor type of situation. But yeah. I mean, overall it was still really good. But if I were to make improvements, it would be on in the sponsored booths. I feel like the sponsored booths were a lot of samey kind of things. Like everyone was giving out a recyclable bag. Like I know that's like an easy, no effort thing to do, but it's just like a branded no recycle bag. And like no one really had anything cool set up like to look at or to do. Um, yeah, so that's what I would say. Gilbert Lindsay Plaza, improve that, and maybe give some direction to some of these sponsors for setting up their booths, because outside from the Sheen booth, it was kind of a whole lot of nothing, in my opinion.
From what I'm gathering, they just wanted all the dancers to suffer in the heat. That's what I got there.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I will say, oh, I forgot to mention real quick. As the Shein booth, they did. It's like sometimes the artists will go onto the show floor and do different things. Um, the two major booths that people are doing things at was the Samsung Galaxy booth and the Shein booth. So like, Stacey was one of the artists who went to the Shein booth, and they took Polaroids and they prepared like the photo card holders like that anyone could make. They made their own, and then they gave away the Polaroids and the photo card holders, and I won one, which was really cool.
Who'd you get?
So I got Isa, and my favorite is Sheeun. I tried to trade for the Sheeun, but Sheeun signed her Polaroid. So that was like the guy who got Sheeun didn't want to trade it, which completely makes sense because Isa didn't sign hers. Um, but then this guy who like a really huge Isa fan had Sumin, and he wanted to trade Sumin for Isa with me. So I gave him Isa for Sumin, and then I got Sumin. I was able to see Stacy at another event outside of KCON, and I was able to get Sumin to sign it. So, all's well that ends well. But yeah, it's still a really cool thing that the idols are going onto the show floor and doing stuff. Like I had mentioned earlier, BB and Stacy were they did the interview at the Kiss FM / McDonald's booth. I can't remember who was it. Somebody big went to the Samsung Galaxy booth. Stacy went to the Sheen booth. Craxy was at the Sheen booth. I'm sure more artists went to the Galaxy booth as well. But definitely nothing like previous years. Like in previous years, there'd be like 2 or 3 different artists on the show floor all at the same time, all doing different things. It was like so crazy. It was like a really cool vibe because like there's always something going on. But this year it was a lot less going on, which it could be good, it could be boring. Like it's more chill in a lot of ways, but it's also a little bit like, oh, there's nothing happening. It's not as active as previous years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I recall that when artists came to the floor, it was always a bit of a zoo. So I'm imagining that with the wide open space that you're mentioning, that it was probably less congestion when an artist does show up. So it sounds like it might be a little bit better.
Yeah, it was definitely less congested, but it was also less artists going onto the floor too. So, who knows? I don't know if this is like another one of those things where they're like, let's tone it back, let's scale it back, let's see how the KCON stage and meet and greet stage does, and how we handle the crowds this year, and maybe they'll increase it next year. But I don't mind one way or another. It's always cool to just randomly see artists walking around, but and it's also nice to be just chill out and do nothing too. So give us a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It just sounds like that whole indoor area is a lot more open and less claustrophobic.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Lastly, KCON would not be KCON without panels. So last time I went to a panel, it sucked. But for you, was there anything that was worth visiting, and what did you learn?
Yeah. So another thing that really felt like it took a backseat this year were panels. Like conventions equals panels in my opinion, right? Not just like KCON, but like conventions in general. And usually these panels would have like interesting people to say. Like last year, they had idols at a lot of these panels, which was like amazing. Like the panels last year were so fun. This year, it's kind of a back to like back to how panels were originally, where there's not really a lot of interesting stuff. Like BINI had a panel, which I didn't go to, but allegedly like 90% of the audience was like Filipino. Like a lot of Filipino people went to KCON just for BINI there.
Seriously? Really?
This is just anecdotal experience because I didn't actually go to the panel, but that's just what I was told. Um, but like there was not really any panels that had idols at them. So it was kind of like a regression back to pre 2023, where like 2023 the panels were like the best part of KCON last year. This year the panels, there's very few panels. Um, and just even less interesting panels, at least for me. I did go to a K Beauty one, which was cool because I ran into Daisy for what is it? What is the meme? It's like it's Momoland from Daisy. My favorite TikToker, Daisy, who's formerly of Momoland, and Denise, formerly of Secret Number. I ran into them. Amongst like a bunch of other people that you may be aware of, like influencers and stuff like that. So that was a cool panel. But aside from that, it was just like a lot of watch parties and things like that were not really that interesting in my opinion.
So, like fan driven events, basically.
Yeah, essentially fan events and stuff hosted by people that most people don't really care about.
So did you go to any of these other than the K Beauty?
Yeah, like I said, I went to the K Beauty one. That was pretty much it, and that's all I went.
So you didn't go to the Weeb ones, right?
Yeah, I didn't go to any of the fan watching stuff. I didn't go to the Beanie one. My friends went to the Beanie one. Um, so yeah, like it just like none of the panels were really that interesting except the K Beauty one to me. So that was, and I didn't even get to stay through the entire K Beauty one because I had I think I had something to do at the meet and greet stage. Oh, I think I went to go see Park Min Young at the meet and greet stage.
I think you made the right decision.
Yeah, no, she's one of my favorite actresses, and to see her in real life, she's absolutely stunning. Really cool. I never thought I'd be able to meet her or see her in person. So it was great to see her with my own eyes. Likewise with Kim Soo Hyun, one of my favorite actors. He even made a heart. I was able to get him to do a fan interaction with me, so that was really cool.
Yep, that sounds way better than sitting in a panel. Okay. uh,
Oh, back real quick back to the meet and greet stage. So, again, the meet and greet stage, they had the meet and greet sessions, they had the showcase sessions, and they also had the red carpet at the meet and greet stage. I mean, usually the red carpet's at the meet and greet area anyway, but because the meet and greet stage was so huge this year, the red carpet was actually significantly better this year compared to previous years because every artist that was performing at M Countdown would go onto the stage. Even if they weren't at the convention that day, they would go onto the meet and greet stage. So that's another big plus for the meet and greet stage because, like for example, NCT or Taemin, they didn't have any events scheduled at on the convention floor, but they went to the red carpet because they were performing at M Countdown. So if you want, you got to see them up close at the meet and greet stage if you had the premium badge, which was great, or the premium wristband, which was great. Like incredible because they would come from one side of the stage, take pictures, go up onto the stage, do their little interview, and then go down and then take more pictures. And it was awesome. It was like a red carpet this year. I mean, red carpet is kind of hit or miss a lot of times, but this year it was definitely a great experience. You know, that's another thing. Like if you are lining up for M Countdown, you're not going to be able to enjoy the convention and stuff like that.
Well, those are the sacrifices that people make to get to the front, right?
Yeah, sacrificing showers, sacrificing KCON.
But it sounds like that was an actual red carpet because I remember the red carpet when I was at KCON last. It was just like a little section off to the side. It wasn't actually like anything grand.
It was so forgettable. It was so forgettable. But this year, I think with the big meet and greet stage and doing the red carpet on the big meet and greet stage where you can actually see things, it was great. And it was cool because when you did the meet and greet, you walked out on the red carpet as well. You could take pictures at the same photo wall that the artists are taking pictures at. It's just a really cool experience, I think, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, it sounds like that part of KCON has been much improved. So I think if for 2025, if they have a nice set of groups, I may consider going back. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go and see the 4 girl groups that are at KCON that year. All right. Let's move on to the main event of KCON, which is always the M Countdown concerts. So, as usual, held at the Crypto.com Arena all 3 nights. If I recall, you had one. Did you have one paid ticket to this and the rest were covered, or how did that work?
Yeah, so sponsored by Samsung Galaxy. Not our podcast, the KCON. By the way, Samsung, if you're listening. Anyway, yeah, so Friday, I didn't actually go to the KCON M Countdown because I had a Stacy fan event and fan sign that was conflicting. So I missed the M Countdown for Friday. On the Saturday, I was able to receive a complimentary ticket as a member of the press. And Sunday was my paid ticket where I bought a ticket for the floor because I wanted to be on the floor for Stacy. So I can talk about both experiences from being in the bowl section as well as the floor. And yeah, so usually the press from previous experiences, they get like really crappy seats. They get like 200 or 300 level seats. But this year we got like some really nice premium 100 level seats and definitely made the concert experience a lot more enjoyable being on a better seat. Because like last year, I remember going one of the days as a member of the press, and it was just like a really crappy seat. But this year was actually a really good one. And yeah, I would say 100 level seats definitely worth the P1 price. Floor definitely worth the P1 price. But that P2 price definitely very sus. Very skeptical about the cost of the P2 tickets.
Yeah, I was looking at that when I was considering going to KCON. It's like, where's my P3, man? What if I just want to sit in the back and just chill?
Yeah, like it again, like I said, it really is prohibitively expensive because there's a lot of casual fans. In the past, I would always recommend like, hey, even if you don't do the concert, just go to the convention. It's really worth it. But now you can't even go to the convention. I mean, I guess you can if you buy a meet and greet ticket, but that's like $130 for one day. So it's crazy. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you really have to be a serious fan of K-pop to go to KCON now. if they continue with this type of pricing. Um, but yeah, I mean, M Countdown, as far as the pacing goes, it was significantly better this year. Because so again, this is the second year where they're doing 3 nights of concerts. They still have over 20, like around 26, maybe 26 or 27 artists, but it's divided in a way that the concert doesn't run for like 4 hours long. Right. So like like the last 2 years, 2022, 2023, the concert would start like 7:30 and it wouldn't end until like 11:30, sometimes even 12. Right. Like you're getting into the concert at 7:30 p.m. You're getting out at 11:30 p.m. Like almost everything is closed. You're exhausted, so tired from spending all day at the convention, spending time at the concert, and then you have to get back to go to sleep and then wake up again like at 6 or 7 a.m. depending on how far you are from the convention center and how early you want to get there, and then start it all over again. This year, the concert started promptly at 7 on Friday and Saturday, and ended at 9:30 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. And like the amount of artists that they had per night was like the perfect amount. Like each artist had like 2 to 3 songs. There were some special stages. The headliner got like there's like the headliner and like the second biggest act. They got like like 3 4 songs, and then the headliner had a little bit extra time on the stage as well. And then the finale, which is always a great experience. It was just a very well paced concert. Both every night this year. And like Sunday they started the concert at like 5 p.m. They started the concert at 5 p.m. and it ended at 7:30 p.m. and it was like amazing. You step outside and the sun is still out. It actually felt really nice to get out of there early on a Sunday. We went back to the hotel, took a little break, changed our clothes, and then we were able to go out for dinner. We even had time for karaoke after. And like all said and done, it was still like 12, like midnight. It just turned midnight. We were already ready to go back. And overall, the M Countdown experience, I think, significantly better this year with the better pacing, etc.
Less filler, more killer at KCON this year.
I mean, in the past, like the 2022, the 2 nights, and then 2023, the 3 nights, it was like there was just so much. I feel like they tried to fit in so much every night, and then it ended up making the concerts like 3 to 4 hours long. I feel like this year is just a lot better paced. Like I wouldn't say it's like more killer, less filler, but just like bringing the correct amount of artists per night. Which I wish there was, maybe one less boy. Sorry to all the boy group fans, but I wish there was a more evenly distribution of male to female artists. But it is what it is. K-pop, the target demographic is teenage girls and younger. So I understand. Boys are more popular amongst the girls.
Yep. It's always been that way.
Yep.
If you want the opposite, go to Japan. It's completely different.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Interesting.
Yes, because those girl groups are more popular with guys. So.
But do they sell? Do they sell as much as the boy groups in Japan?
If you're not, well, I guess if you're not Exile or Johnny's, you're not selling very well anyway. So.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Or Starto now, I guess, now that Johnny's has been dissolved. But anyway.
Right.
As usual, there's the fan interaction at KCON with the Dream Stage, or as Alan likes to call it, bringing your trash on stage. So, how was that for this year?
I just have to reiterate every year, like it frustrates me that Alan like calls it trash on stage because I think that's one of the highlights. That's one of the highlights of KCON LA is the Dream Stage, because one of the when it comes to K-pop, one of the driving forces of K-pop is the dance. and people cover dancing. And Dream Stage lets these people who love cover dancing, or learning the dances, to be able to perform with the artists that they love on stage. And just the fact that a regular fan is able to get onto the big stage at crypto.com arena and perform with their favorite idols, is just an absolutely insane experience. And now I've never done, I'm not a dancer, so I don't even try. I don't even follow like how this works. I assume you send in like a video or something, and then you get selected for the preliminary, and then there's like the dream stage practice and selection at the convention. But anyway, dream stage, I feel like in 2022 it was kind of like they didn't really have that many people on the stage, and then 2023 is like they went overboard with how many fans they had on stage. Is like 2023, man, there was so many fans on the stage, as like you couldn't even see the artists anymore. But 2024, I feel like they found kind of the right balance of fans to artists. I feel like there was a good amount of fans on the stage, but not enough that it was blocking the view of the artist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense because I think we went to the KCON when they first started that whole thing, right? And I remember part of the experience on the convention floor was you did a live audition, and the artist was there to judge you and pick you. So, yeah, because I remember Kepler did that. That's why everyone camped around the area for that. And Luna did it as well. So, yeah, that's how they picked them.
Yeah, maybe they did the same thing. Maybe the artists were there to judge. But I didn't actually go to any of the dream stage stuff because I wasn't really interested. I'm not a dancer, but again, like it's like one of those really cool moments. And really, from my perspective, it's great to see the fans on stage. And I was happy that there wasn't so many fans that it was blocking my view. Because 2023, man, there was just so many people on the stage. I couldn't see anything after that.
I just remember seeing the pictures after KCON ended. It's like, wow, they got a lot of people
Yeah,
up there.
yeah. I think this year was better. A good amount of people. Not too much, not too little.
Okay, well, good for those people who went through the ordeal of getting picked. I don't know how they got picked this year either. I would assume it might be the same process or not, but it seems like everything's changing around how KCON does stuff. But good job, all you people who danced on stage with your favorite artists. The other big change with KCON this year is that the final night was broadcast on the CW? Is that right?
Yeah. So apparently, this is making history. It was broadcast on national television, the Sunday, day 3 or night 3, and it really affected a lot of things. So I think, first of all, one of the reasons for the better pacing was because they knew it was going to be broadcast on CW. When you're live on air, you don't have time to mess around, right? So you get the time that you get. In this case, 2.5 hours. Stick to that time. No like additional fluff or whatever. Is just straight to the point. I'm not really sure how they did commercial breaks. I didn't actually watch the CW broadcast, obviously, because I was there and I didn't watch a rerun. I don't know anyone who watched it really. But yeah, it was broadcast. I think that was also another factor into like why the concert started at 5 p.m. on Sunday, is because the East Coast time, it would have been 8 p.m. Obviously, 8 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. is kind of like the prime time for television on the East Coast. Like even sporting events usually start like 6 p.m. On the West Coast because, you got to factor in how late it is for the East Coast. So yeah, I mean, the fact that it led to an earlier start time, it did make Sunday a little bit more of a crunch as far as trying to the scheduling goes, but it was really nice getting out at 7:30. Have you seen any clips from CW?
I was gonna watch it, but then I just totally forgot it was on.
Do you have CW in Canada?
Yes, it's one of the super stations, what they call it, in the cable packages. So we get like KTLA, CW,
Oh,
a couple of stations from New York, stuff like that. But you have to pay extra for it.
CW is like one of the major channels. It's like the non-cable channel. It's like everybody has that channel. Like CBS, ABC, Fox, and CW. Those are like the major channels in the US. And I remember when I was growing up, that was like one of my favorite channels. So just the thought of it being broadcast live in the United States across the country was really cool. And I think it also affected the lineup because like they also had a special performance with BB and Hyorin. That night, like they had a lot of special performances on Sunday night. I think because of the CW. It was also cool, like the thought of like, hey, Stacy is performing on live national television in the United States, which is really cool.
Yep, it's a good opportunity for people who may wonder what this whole K-pop thing is about to get at least some exposure on national television.
Definitely, and maybe who knows? Maybe there's some new fans of K-pop because of this.
Yeah, just remember it's more than Gangnam Style. That's I mean that's what most people think of K-pop when, well, the commoners think of K-pop. It's that Psy guy.
Yeah, exactly.
With that song from like many years ago.
Yeah, it's 10 years now. I believe that came out in 2014.
But yeah, K-pop is a lot of different things, and hopefully that broadcast brought in some numbers and converted a few people, and maybe they'll be able to pay like $1,000 to come to KCON next year.
And maybe we'll get more national broadcasts of K-pop type things.
Would be interesting. Water bomb, damn it.
Oh, Gangnam Style came out in 2012. Dang. Crazy.
Still a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's have Water Bomb broadcast uncensored.
That's not going to happen.
It's going to be a whole bunch of mosaics all over the place.
I mean, Water Bomb's not that wild, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, yeah, I mean, the KCON has that Mnet, CJE, and M backing. Water Bomb, I don't know who's backing them, so very doubtful unless K-pop like becomes like crazy mainstream.
Coming towards the end of our conversation here, so we have some closing thoughts on 2024 KCON. There's 2 points that we want to discuss here. One is kind of unrelated to KCON, but is somewhat related. But the first I want to talk about is the attendance numbers. So you saw how many people were there, and you got the email about the press release saying how many people were there. Is it accurate?
Well, the press release. So interestingly enough, in previous KCONs, they would always have a relatively accurate number of how many attendees actually attended the convention. But this year, they didn't give a convention number. They just gave a overall number of viewership of KCON, which includes online. So it was like in the 5.9 million or something. That was definitely not the attendance of the convention. Like the convention, the way that it works in marketing is that you always use the numbers that look good, right? So I'm confident. I'm fairly confident the convention numbers were not great for them to not include that at all in the press release. And like I said, I'm pretty sure KCON didn't sell out this year. Prohibitively expensive pricing. The show floor was not really that crowded at all ever. So yeah, like I don't even know if they hit like. I don't think they even hit like 20,000, 30,000. I doubt that they even hit that many people at the convention. Maybe 10,000, 15,000 at most. That's just my guess. Again, I don't know if that's by design, because the pricing of the tickets was just like insane.
Yes, I think definitely the pricing scheme definitely took some people out of the running for going to KCON. I know that when KCON was first announced and then all those prices came out, lots of people were complaining. So it's not easy being a K-pop fan these days. Like with so many concerts now coming to America and Europe and wherever, the there's
Yeah, and a lot of times, somebody who's a fan of a group, if there's a chance that they're gonna tour, they'd rather save their money to do more stops of the tour. Even just doing one stop is already a significant investment. Like some of the people, like they'd rather save their money going to KCON. Like KCON's, if you go all 3 days, you're spending like $1,000, $2,000 at least, right? You gotta have somewhere to stay if you don't live in the area. Then the cost of the tickets, and then cost of food, right, et cetera, et cetera. So you can spend that money towards the concert tour of the artists that you actually really love and see them for longer and a greater experience. Um, so yeah, I mean, like music festivals and the KCON in general just have a big uphill battle now. Um, Getting a draw, like Waterbomb LA is coming out soon. They still haven't released an artist list. I think that's the first lineup is coming up in like a week or two, and then the second lineup the week after that. They announced, what is this, the crazy K-pop concert thing? I don't know about that one. That one's man, that one's rough. That last one got canceled. The previous one really sucked. So yeah, I mean, like even Head in the Clouds. Head in the Clouds. New York was really scaled back this year. There's LA is like nowhere to be found. So I feel like music festivals, unless you're like a Lollapalooza or a Coachella, um, and it's not even catered to K-pop, right? I think K-pop music festivals are becoming a thing of the past. I think people just are not interested. A lot of people are not interested. KCON is, I feel like, unless Waterbomb can really break out and do something crazy, with their brand and bring in, a great lineup. I think KCON is going to be the last remaining survivor of all these music festivals.
yeah, it sounds like it because as you mentioned, there's several new ones that we attended that didn't end up having a good follow up or any follow up at all. Not the greatest time for music festivals that are just starting up or are trying to hop on the K-pop wave now.
Yeah, and they always underestimate the logistics. KCON has been doing this for 12 years, at least in LA. I don't know how long they've been doing it in general, but yeah, they just have, some large corporations, CJE and M. Um, they have money they have capital to spend, and even if they go on a loss, they can figure things out. They have second chances, but a lot of these startups, these new festivals, like they promise the world and they deliver, peanuts. So what can you do? You're not If you don't make money, then you just disappear.
And as we've seen with some of the pricing schemes of these newer festivals, like holy shit, that's a flight and hotel to Korea that you're charging to go to your new event. So yeah, that's just insane. But before we get to the last point that we want to discuss, what other closing thoughts do you have on KCON 2024?
Yeah, so I mean, just real simply and succinctly, 2022, incredible, absolutely incredible, unmatched KCON experience. 2023, the complete opposite of that, incredibly horrific KCON experience as far as like the ticketing goes and how difficult it was, and the like just so many issues. And outside of like a few bright spots, like just last year was pretty bad, honestly. This year, yeah, significantly better compared to last year, and hopefully, huge improvements this year. Hopefully the ticketing situation gets fixed. Hopefully the booth situation improves. Hopefully the panels improve. Hopefully the Gilbert Lindsay Plaza area improves, because even the Gilbert Lindsay Plaza last year was better than this year, in my opinion. They had cooler stuff there last year compared to this year. So yeah, I mean, it feels like they invested more in the meet and greet stage and the KCON stage, and everything else kind of went by the wayside. But hopefully, I feel like the goal of any business is to grow and improve and become more profitable. Hopefully KCON next year improves and becomes better because yeah, step in the right direction this year.
Cool, because I would like to go back to KCON, but my suspicion is my 2025 may be booked with other things that are not KCON. So we'll see. Yeah, well, yeah. There's a few acts that I want to see and some other stuff I want to do, but yeah. So far it's just rumor and innuendo right now, but hopefully that's all truth eventually. So the last thing I want to talk about is somewhat related to KCON because it's kind of like a CJ event. Uh, that is the Mama Awards. They're doing it in LA.
Yeah. It was actually a big part of the KCON experience because they were promoting the Mama Awards coming to LA hugely during the entire event.
What are your thoughts on Mama coming to the States?
Yeah, so first of all, I thought that the Korean government imposed some type of law about award shows happening outside of Korea, but strangely, the Mnet Asian Music Awards Mama is coming to LA, and it's not even just exclusively in LA. They're doing like 1 day in LA and then 2 days in Japan. It doesn't really make any sense to me. I guess I don't even know what they're gonna do. Are they just turning it into like a music show and then gonna give out a few awards? Like, hey, come to LA, we're having this big music show, and also a few awards are being given out. And then, hey, the next day we're gonna be in Japan, and then different artists are gonna be there, and we're gonna give different awards out. Like, I'm not really sure how it's gonna work. I feel like it's kind of just an excuse. Maybe they got a great deal on crypto.com arena or something. I don't know what the whole what the thought process is behind this. Like, why can't you just do the entire Mama Awards in LA? And you've had it in Japan before. Like, why do you have to split it up? Like, I feel like it would have been better if they just did like 3 days in LA versus 1 day in LA and 2 days in Japan or whatever. But I don't know what the situation is. Yeah. So like when I first saw that it was coming to LA, I was like, oh, that's kind of exciting. But then when I saw that it's only 1 day in LA and 2 days in Japan, it's kind of like, oh, that's kind of a downer. So I don't really know how it's gonna go. I really wonder how many people are gonna go to that.
I'm not sure because my guess is if they did this whole broadcast thing with like 1 day of KCON, would they try to do another broadcast of Mama on national TV? Would there be enough like viewership for such an event outside of Korea or Asia?
Well, maybe they booked this ahead of schedule with the positive hope that KCON numbers on CW would go well, and then they'd be able to come back and say like, "Hey, we can broadcast Mama as well." Who knows? Maybe something like that, or maybe they've already signed a deal with CW to broadcast both KCON and Mama, and that's why that's why they need to have 1 day in LA at least. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. But I do wish that it was kind of just like all in LA. Like, I don't know why we have to shoehorn Japan into this. They've done Mama in Japan in the past already.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I remember the one year that we did get invited to the Mama press conference. They did mention that this was coming. They just didn't. They didn't really say when or what cities, but they did mention that LA or North America was coming, and so the suspicion was it would be LA. But
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. But again, we'll see how it gets executed, what the ticket prices are going to be like. I'm I don't even know if I can be cautiously optimistic about this. Maybe I'm cautiously pessimistic about this. But I think it's good. I think it's nice. I think it would be nicer if it was all in LA. Like 3 days in LA. Why does it even have to be 3 days? I don't understand. Because like in the past, Mama was 1 day and then became 2 days, and now it's 3 days. Oh man, they're just really. I don't know what the intention is here, but we'll see.
I think they're really trying to stretch out the content. I don't know, but it just reminds me similar to like big events like in wrestling where you're like WrestleMania used to be one night and now it's like 2 nights. SummerSlam is one night, now it's going to be 2 nights. Those type of things where like they expect that maybe they'll have enough draw to pull in more fans for an extra night. But how many awards are they going to give out? Like that's so. Like most of the time, they don't even give out most of the awards on these shows anyway. It's like almost 80 to 90% performances.
Yeah, I did like it when they increased it to 2 nights because it gave more performances and they clearly had a separation of like fan awards and industry awards. But now it's like, what are you gonna do with the third night? What's the third night really? Is LA just gonna be performances only? Are they gonna give out awards? What are they doing? I don't know. Who knows? How many awards can you give? Right? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Mama's always been a question of integrity when it comes to awards. I personally have never had an issue with Mama. You know, it's pretty clearly defined what the industry awards are, what the fan awards are. But a lot of K-pop fans who are not really familiar with terminology and marketing speak, they might not understand like, why does this person get this award? Why does that person get that award? This doesn't make any sense. For me, it always kind of made sense. I never really had any issues with it. We'll see how it comes this year.
Yeah, I kind of just watch the award shows for the performances. I don't really care about the awards because, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, one year, twice came out with like a surprise single on Mama. I mean, if more artists do things like that, like 1 year, like I think J-Hope from BTS like did a debut performance type of situation on Mama. So Mama is definitely a cool place to, do like these type of things, right? So hopefully we'll see something like that at LA.
Yeah, but we'll see. Hopefully, hopefully they let us know. That'd be nice to get another invite for another media scrum, but I'm not holding my hopes up for that. Anyway, that is our conversation on KCON 2024. Hopefully more than one of us can go next year, depending on what happens next year. There's so much stuff going on at such a fast pace that we don't have enough time and money to actually go to everything. So hopefully one of us wins the lottery. If one of us wins Powerball or what we call in Canada the Lotto Max, then yeah, we'll be doing this full time. But for now, we ain't got no money left. So do you have any other comments for the folks who may want to go to KCON next year? What's your biggest piece of advice before we leave?
Oh, be rich? I don't know. In the past, I would just say, hey, if you can't, at least try to go to the convention. But now you can't even do that. So who knows what the KCON has been changing so much every year, the last 3 years, that I don't even know what to say anymore. All I can say is, hopefully the artists you like come, and hopefully you have enough money to go. That's all I can say, I guess.
What's that retirement fund you Americans have? A 401k?
401k.
Cash that out.
That's a penalty.
Cash that shit out.
Yeah, maybe if you're retired, you'd be able to do that. Otherwise, you're taking a heavy penalty.
You're young. You can work more years.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, it's a rough time.
Yeah, especially with everything, the cost, everything's increasing in cost, but the salary and pay is just staying the same, stagnant. Yeah, I mean, that's why, just a lot of K-pop sales and concert sales are down.
Yep. And yeah, I would say, I guess, my advice for just going to any of these events in general is, if you know what's coming, you want to go, start saving money now. Or cash in your 401k.
Yeah.
So that's it. Thank you very much to all of you who listened to this episode. We will be back with another one featuring our experiences at IU. So stay tuned for that.
ディスハスビーン A セレクティブヒアリングプロダクション Please visit selective-hearing.com to download past podcast episode です。